Welcome back to the third game of the day, the one that Yamada kept talking about. It's going to be the first place versus the second place, Lightside versus Nativz. Everybody knows this is going to be one of the best games of the week, the Super Week, if not the best one. Yamada, what can we expect?
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of pretty fun matchups throughout this week. This is the one I'm looking forward to the most, simply because all the way back, excuse me, all the way back in week one, we saw this matchup unfold. I believe it was actually on day one. Yeah, it was the first game of the split. Nativz and Lightside took each other on, and Lightside were effectively down like 10,000 gold throughout the entire the entire game, and then won one team fight 35 minutes into the game, 40 minutes into the game, and won it. It was a game that Nativz should have absolutely won, and now several weeks later, we're in a situation where Lightside are 8-1. They've only dropped a game to, of all teams. Was it Guap? Guap. It's the only team they've dropped a game to. And Nativz have definitely had a couple of ups, a couple of downs throughout it. Definitely two different stories throughout the entire of this split so far. But Nativz need to pick up the win, especially as Rate just found their win of the day. It's actually technically the first versus the third place team at the moment. So if Nativz drop this game, Monster have an opportunity to tie with them, and so do Unique come the end of the day. So Nativz, it's an important one, especially when you start to consider things like head-to-head and just general morale walking towards the end of the end of the Super Week, of course, as well in the more immediate future. As of course, don't forget, top two slightly more important for playoffs. Obviously, at the end of the day, you kind of have to beat the best teams in playoffs to win in a winner-loser bracket, regardless. But being in that top two gives you such an advantage, right? Being able to effectively skip most of the playoffs and give yourself that time to just sit there, watch, prepare, and especially for a team like Nativz, that could be super important as well, moving into a best of five. So need to pick up that win for themselves. Lightside, a little more of wiggle room, breathing room. They're still a game in hand on Rate, or not a game in hand. They're a game up on Rate. So losing here wouldn't be the end of the world. But when you consider Lightside play Rate tomorrow, getting an additional game buffer here would be absolutely wonderful moving towards the end of the regular split and securing first place.
And not only that, you get that extra continue. If you fail, you can go to the bottom and like, okay, we still can fight it one more time. It's so important to get the top two, but this time let's focus on the bans right now. So it's going to be the GP, the Corki, the Seraphim, the usual ones. It seems like we won't have access to a more overloaded draft, as Goldberg usually says. So Zeri should be banned as well. Wukong will be left in the table. Renata has been so good on the bot side with a lot of AD carries. Taking away the Renata almost puts Kalista in a weird position, unless you can bring something specific or you're playing Kalista against something specific. So at least that's like a combo in terms of bans. And the Yumi. Now, do we get to see the Zeri or the Wukong?
So I think, yeah, those are the picks that are on the radar right now. Senna, Wukong, Zeri as well. There's quite a few strong options. I feel like if you're Nativz, you maybe could. There's an angle to leave all of them up, or maybe you remove away. I think probably out of all three, the Zeri kind of sits in a weird spot, so I would maybe go towards the Senna if I was in Nativ's situation. We'll see what the option actually is, though. They're going to leave all three up. Okay, so with Lilia removed away, it definitely puts a lot of priority towards the Lightside to go towards the Wukong. We'll see what exactly they want to do, because then at that point, if you're Nativz, you could go something like Senna Viego and you would be happy with that rotation. You wouldn't really feel too bad about it. Lightside hovering over the Volibear instead as a potential early jungle lock-in instead, and could definitely give Nativz the opportunity to pick up that Wukong if they want, or another jungle matchup that they feel favorable with. But Senna is something that I do kind of expect Nativz to maybe want to lean on. Of course, I think 12-12, they actually didn't hit Senna that hard, if at all. So I think she's definitely in a fine spot to be locked in here if Nativz want to. Again, options are aplenty. Not exactly sat in an overloaded draft, but there are plenty of champions which are very, very strong beyond the first six. Gragas a champion that got a lot of love on this patch as well with the buffs. Of course, not only to himself, but Night Harvester also got given a bit of a touch-up, which is definitely something that some Gragas tops have been leaning on a little bit. If it isn't the full tank build, is that kind of, near full AP, and also going to go for the Ezreal. So a lot of disengage, non-committal engage as well from the Gragas ultimate. Definitely a pretty neutral rotation there from Nativz as they look towards Volibear. What will Lightside want to go towards? Because when you see an Ezreal, like you kind of said, right, Kalista is something that can be picked into it to try and sort of shut down the safe early laning of that pick, or you could go for more scaling yourself. Seems like the option is going to be the latter there. As Zeri gets hovered, I expect it to be locked in. It's more about what they actually want to pair it up with. As
Zeri and Volibear. This is already scary for Lightside. Natives need to be aware of this. You can have all the disengage you want, but the late game, if you get the Zeri online for the Moshoks as well, of all the AD carries, this one specifically, you need to be afraid of this one. Now you can pair it with the support maybe, to at least not reveal anything to the top and to the mid lane for Tiz. So that would be the pick, unless you want to go for the control, so you have something sneaky to the bot.
Okay, so Victor comes in now. A lot of magic damage coming out from Lightside's team at the moment. I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue.
Wait, it's locked in.
Oh, that was an immediate lock. Okay, so I think what the read is that Lightside don't really have too many engage tools right now. And what Nativz could do is go for something like Nautilus plus Ornn and then take up an engage support of their own. And then they have all of this poke and disengage to work with. I think this is the angle that Nativz are going to go towards. Lightside, they will still have things like the Leona and maybe the Malphite to work towards as well.
Still.
And other engage options, but definitely stripping away the Ornn, stripping away the Nautilus would be the strongest engage tools that they have as a potential option for Lightside. What will be the decisions to be made here from Lightside? I think you definitely pick on Snilay's champion pool, right? Maybe something like the Belveth, yeah, definitely a strong option. You could go towards maybe something like the Lee Sin. There's a couple of champions still up in Snilay's champion pool. There goes the Nautilus. Gragas could also still go to the jungle, right? There is also that possibility.
And you put a Jace on top, more additional poke?
Yeah,
that
I
would
mean,
be disgusting, but I
Yeah,
want to not play the game while playing it.
Yeah, so Wukong banned away. If Nativz feel like they could pick up the Leona themselves as a denial pick, the only issue is they would potentially run into like a Braum lane, and Braum Zeri would kind of just dismantle that one. So going for something a little more neutral inside of the Karma, honestly, it kind of makes sense. And not only that, it still works as a flex. Now, my only concern is 3 AP champions, Ezreal, a lot of magic damage there, right? Actually, you could kind of say the same thing on the opposite side. But again, the Jace still up and available. Gragas could go towards the jungle, Jace could go towards the top side, and the Karma could still end up bot. A lot of flexibility with Nativz draft right now. Even the Xerath could go support if the support matchup doesn't really pressure it so hard. So this is a really hard draft to look at for Lightside. I think they just have to kind of throw the kitchen sink in, go for full-blown engage. They're going to go for the Amumu and the Sejuani, and I think that works perfectly in trying to find some shutdown here. What will the final lock be? That is the real question here for Nativz. A couple of very strong, anti-tank 2v1 champions being hovered. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing those options come in. Yep. We'll see what exactly the choice is, though, for Nativz, as we saw both the Darius, Mordekaiser. Fiora would do pretty damn well into the likes of the Sejuani and the Volibear as well, and it's going to get locked in. So a whole bunch of disengage and a split pusher on the side of Nativz, whilst Lightside have the engaged tools of the Sejuani ultimate, the Amumu, plus his ultimate, of course, as well. We could be in for a bit of a slow game. Lundqvist is going to have to get rolling. I'm not going to say very early, but you definitely want to see him get to his core item spike so he can split push sooner rather than later, because once the likes of Teases and Moxox get to their power spikes, they're going to be so damn oppressive to fight around. Even though Nativz have the range to potentially deal with that, you have to imagine Lightside are just going to try and go with the Sejuani, with the Amumu, once they're actually in front of the objective. But then if you're seeing a 5v4, that means Lundqvist up over towards the side lane, shoving down those towers. This is probably going to be a very fun game. I think we have two compositions that do very different things and have very different win conditions that are going to have to be met at relatively the same time in the game. So it's going to be about how these teams manage their resources and manage, getting those win conditions up online and rolling.
It's one of those games where you're like, okay, one team wants to play, the other one doesn't want to play, and who's going to force their play style on the enemy team? I think the one that is capable of doing so will at least get some sort of lead, if not the game itself, if you're capable of forcing your play style on the enemy. BZ versus Lundqvist. I always look into Lundqvist like a big top laner, like a massive top laner. So BZ will have a hard time navigating this one. She has to use the passive from Sejuani as well as she can, as Sejuani as well. They can use that passive. It's going to be a complicated match, I would say. But interesting, and getting the Amumu as a support, I've missed this, Jamada. I've missed this a lot.
Yeah, and also I'll have to go double check patch notes. I think 12.12 is the patch where they actually buffed up Amumu just a touch. can't recall. I'm just gonna look. You can see me typing. I'm looking it up right now. Because I was having this conversation with Orcs. We started to see a Mumu come in as an answer to Zeri, because obviously Zeri Q actually applies all of the what's the ability called, like the tough skin part of a Mumu, but they effectively reduce the mana cost of Q, and they also increase the damage of the R. So he deals a little bit more damage, which at base super important. 50 damage can definitely make the difference in an all-in at level 6, but just in general, he's been more of an answer to the Zeri. So seeing it being paired with the Zeri, very interesting, right? It seems like Lightside wanted to bring out something a little more unorthodox, as opposed to seeing the Leona come in this spot. And definitely, you have to remember, if the bandage toss hits Yoppa, but he arcane shifts, he still eats the stun. He's still going to be still, and that means Vene can then follow up and flash and try and lock him down that way. And that's why you can see Yoppa has actually brought himself the cleanse. So we'll see how well he does at avoiding that engage and how well Vene does at finding the engage. But for now, 5-man bottom lane stack, and we're into what is undoubtedly the game of the day.
Hard invade coming in from Lightside. They really want to force something, but obviously, if you look into Nativz, it's more of a guys, just make sure that we don't get spotted. We don't need to fight this one. Ward up and just disengage.
Yep, and that is exactly what will happen. Bambi will drop a ward on the blue and the Grump. Lightside will back away. Nativz have a pretty good idea of where the vision is, and they respond in kind of a blue buff ward. So information traded on either side. Seems like Bambi will be pathing to the bottom side early on. And a lot of setup there, right? Between the Amumu, between Volibear, a lot of hard CC. Clocks in particular is going to have to play very, very careful about the cleanse. Even though he has heal, definitely a very vulnerable target to chain CC. It seems like Snille is going to be pathing down towards the bottom side to try and cover this, as opposed to pathing towards the top side and maybe trying to get Lundqvist ahead. And the expectation definitely is that Lundqvist should have a fairly good time in lane. It's gone for the grasp, so definitely going to play a much bigger role in, some of the trades on those vitals, as opposed to going for the Conqueror for the stacking AD. I think either choice is definitely fine. If you're super confident in the matchup, then yeah, going Conqueror is going to, buff up your scaling as the game goes on, but getting the grasp stacks also going to feel not too bad as well for those early game trades, but also stacking the health as the game progresses.
I've seen a lot of setups in Division 1 as well, not now, back in the day, to deal with the Corki, and I've never seen them be successful due to the fact that it is a hard champion to pilot. Either you hit or miss. It's the old saying of, was it? Expect it. Nah, they're too tanky, we cannot fight this. So I would like to see what Relay will be able to provide with this one. Alongside with the first strike, there's going to be an interesting take. And in the early game, you can see that he's getting pushed on that lane, losing a lot of farm. He cannot deal with the pressure that Sis is bringing into the early game as a Victor, the early game of Victor. So it's going to be complicated to pilot this one from Relay.
Yeah, you definitely need a couple of levels for Relay to, really come online here. As Vene went in, dropped the Ignite. No summon spells are traded in kind. Lost a lot of his health for that. And Bambi also shows. So now Nativz have a good idea of where Lightside is. The only benefit to this gank here is that they're going to have lane priority and could go for this blue buff invade. Snille started on the top side. He's finished up his wolves. Has smite, but now he has to deal with this invade. 2 versus 3. 2 versus 2 maybe. But the only thing is I think that wave is crashed. Or actually frozen. So the response can come in. Yeah, it's actually frozen. So it's Lightside that are losing more for this. And Snille could still win the 50-50. And he does!
He does wins the 50-50. Bambi now is trying to force a fight with the Presti attack. That's a lot of lead. Flashes in, gets the smart on the Grump. Still getting low, but no kill whatsoever. Bambi will fall for the first blood. No, it's Snille flashing away. Bambi still survives, but finally the first blood has been spilled. As Snille is trying to get the re-engage. Beautiful stun coming in from the mid lane. Snille gets back the re-engage. And this is so good for Nativz. Bad for Lightside. They switch 1-for-1 and Ziz will be able to run away. As the field is slowing them down, but chaotic fight, well, I don't think they're done, I guess.
Snille could with the slow. Oh,
as you understand, he's not the fastest one on Rift, and Zen is trying to get away as fast as possible. Slowly but surely.
Oh, the bow playing! The bow playing as well. I mean, even if that barrel connects and somehow Relay picks up pieces. How did that happen? He was almost full HP. He was like 60%. I mean, all I'll say is, Reed, good luck replaying that one. Yeah, what a hectic invade from Lightside there. and Nativz really respond well. So to kick things off, that wave on the bottom side was frozen. So Nativz aren't really losing too much for this play. You can see it's slow pushing. They have an entire wave to work with. We have to come out of the replay because we've already got more action. Moxox, he's dead. How? So
there we go.
confused.
That was a rep god from Jamada with only 2 words.
Going back into the replay. So yeah, that wave was frozen. It's the Snille that wins out on the 50-50 on the blue buff. And look at Yopper. Over the wall, does get a bit zoned out by Teasers, but you can see Snille holds onto his flash until the latest possible moment, doesn't get bursted down. Bambi gets executed by Yopper. Clocks eventually flashes out. Snille goes over the wall, finds the Gromp plus a stun onto Teasers, and he gets the HP from it. Moxox is so deep that Relay is able to pick him up alongside Clocks. And even though Yopper dies, it doesn't really matter too much. Svene is basing here because he has nowhere else to base, gets found out by Clocks. And then how does this...
Oh, red buff.
Really? That is simply just greed. Yeah, and it's just the red buff. Yeah, the W flash over the gravity field. Yeah, he's just getting run down by the red buff. It's... Yeah, definitely, it's just greedy. There's nothing else really to say about that. Just greedy base from Teasers.
For those of you who watched the World Championship in the previous year, that's a Mad Lions game. That's a Mad Lions move. You recall in the bushes next to your enemy.
God bless Mad Lions. And
oh, by the way,
yeah, there's more. So how did this happen? So the wave was frozen, I actually think, from the original play. And Moxox, no summoner spells, just steps up. Not expecting Clocks to be there. Heal root into all of the burst damage. Yeah, not much you can really do. Doesn't have the damage to return it onto Clocks just yet. And Yopper, Arcane Shifts on his face to find the execute damage. Relay does eat a gank, but only loses around 20-30% of his health bar. He's going to be okay with that. And I guess my next question is, can we pull up the gold and then eventually we'll also take a look at the CS numbers too?
There you go.
Where did all of that gold go? Because it seems like for now, the answer is 80 carry. Because my goodness, 800 gold difference between Yopper and Moxox. Obviously, Moxox did pick up 1 kill in that exchange, but the wave state has been horrible for him ever since as well. Definitely very problematic. We'll, catch back up as time progresses, but for now, I'm going to be feeling really bad about that one. One thing they might not feel too bad about is the fact that Relay, Yopper both have themselves a 150 shutdown. So at the very least, if they can find their way onto those carries, they will get a little bit of slingshot gold back into the game. But as kind of highlighted very briefly, Yopper already has a Sheen and a Warfields into what is effectively just double Longsword and B-Greaves. It's not...
He's almost done with Essence River.
Yeah, like he is... What is that, 1,000 gold? No, it's less than that, right? The combined cost. I think it's 800.
Let me just see. Okay. Now he's still a little bit far. Okay. He needs at least 800 because you need the Cloak of Agility.
You need the Cloak of Agility, and I think
the recipe.
Yeah, so he's... Either way, he's really not far away.
700-ish, yeah.
Yeah. He's not far away at all. So
it's 7 minutes.
It's very scary.
For a team that wants to get the lead so they are not forced to play, this is the best that they could get. Like the previous game. You need Belveth to get some sort of lead. Well, here's 2 kills with the first blood included. The teams that are trying to force their play style onto the enemy are being successful today.
Yeah, it really does seem like that is the case. And Nativz, we were expecting that it would be Lundqvist who would be picking up a lead forced through the rest of his teammates, but he's picking up a slowly but surely building CS lead of his own, whilst the rest of the map is winning. So Lightside, what is the answer here? Because realistically, you just have to wait until Teasers and Moxox are online so you can really, confidently take 5v5s. And then even then, you're going to have to rely on your engage tool. Somebody's going to have to answer Lundqvist on the side lane after 20 minutes into the game. Like, the options are going to start to dwindle eventually, as Svene eats a pretty nasty trade. And this is just going to continue to happen. The poke will continue to just fly towards the light side, bottom side of the map. I'm going to have to try and find something somewhere. Maybe the mid lane can be the answer, but Relay already chunked out Teasers, has flash, has a ward on Bambi as well, so he knows this is happening.
He has the snipe. He has the ultimate available. He knows Oliver is there. He's not...
Oh, he tried.
Too tanky.
Just too tanky.
Press the attack on the Volibear. Bami's seen it as well, but so far not successful in the ganks. It's really hard to gank any lane. Moxox, I've seen this before. This is not a good look on you. You need to dodge those skill shots. There's a lot to dodge in this game, though. You're playing dodgeball. You're not playing League.
Yeah, no, it really is. Xerath, Ezreal, even Karma to a degree, right? Gragas barrels, it's a lot being thrown at you. And so far, Nativz are playing this early game out pretty damn well. Lightside definitely had a plan with that early invade. It just wasn't executed well enough. That wave crash wasn't there. It got frozen on them. They lose out on the blue buff. They lose out on the fight that ensues. And now Svene. You know,
Oh, you wanted some friends, but not like this. The party was over way too quickly.
yeah, party over. Face checks into the cask. Isn't even able to flash. Now Nativz continue to just grow their lead ever so slightly more and more. What I expect to see now, reset from Yoppa, Clocks move up towards the mid lane, maybe try and play towards his Herald because Lundqvist has priority in the top side. It seems like at the moment, Relay has had fairly firm priority in the mid lane, though he is definitely losing out in CS. One thing we didn't really get to talk about is the like that sort of mid lane matchup because, you know, Xerath, Victor, two pretty heavy wave clear mages. What you kind of expect to see is that Xerath, early stages, gets out traded. It's what we definitely saw from teasers. Then from like level 5 until Victor gets his upgraded laser, it's definitely priority towards Relay. And then it's just kind of, you know, both mid laners sit there and press their abilities on the minions until somebody has to leave their lane. And that's basically it. But Herald being picked up by Lightside, very big. When you have these massive sort of wave clear mages who you can see Relay already kills the entire wave with just a Q and a W on the front line. Yeah. Expect to see the Herald probably drop to mid. The Andre
finished.
Yeah, so expect to see Bambi and the rest of Lightside try and drop the Herald towards the mid lane so they can chunk that one out. Unless an opportunistic Herald drop is given to them where they can pick up a bunch of plates, because that mid lane tower is going to be absolutely the worst of all nightmares to take down with an Ezreal and with a Xerath in the game.
The burn will start to stack. I don't know if you get to see the double burn. I expect him to go for more cooldown as well.
Yeah, I expect probably either full damage or, like you say, like cooldown to come into effect. I think after this, probably just look towards Shadow Flame and Pen Boots, right? You are dealing with a whole bunch of squishes, squishes from the carries, but like you say, there is a lot of front line, so maybe there is some potential for a for, like you say, that Pen, the cooldowns come in. Maybe even Pen is just beneficial because you already have so much magic damage on your team comp. Going Void second, whilst you might not have the highest number in AP, having the Pen to negate the build paths could be very strong.
And amplifies the damage from the Leanders itself, because it's magic damage. So
yeah,
in the end, you're not missing out.
No. But we'll see. We'll wait and see what the build path will be. For now, though, Nativz sitting very comfortably in this game, and Stinley has snuck his way into this brush, and they just don't know.
Sneaky gets close to the belly, and there we go, sniping from across the river. But the reply coming in from Bambi, is this enough for Lightside? They need to start getting some kills. Everyone is so low, but Bambi cannot get any of those kills. Yoppa now just guiding away.
Oh my god.
Is alone. Double kill for Nativz. The kite potential was perfect from Nativz.
Not only that, but just mechanically, Nativz outplayed Lightside at every opportunity they could have. You have to feel bad for Lightside, because to be honest with you, that was a really strong response, right? Even though, yes, it's Nativz looking for that play, the execution initially from Snille is a little bit sloppy. He doesn't really find a strong cask angle, and we'll kind of get a bit of an example of that from the replay. So what you'd probably want to see is that cask knock both Svene and Moxox into Clocks and into Yoppa, but it kind of knocks them a little bit further back away. Svene immediately flashes forward with the ultimate, locks down all three members, but the sidestep from Clocks is clean onto Bambi. Everybody turns their focus very quickly on to Volibear. And then just take a look at this, right? Moxox is able to find a whole bunch of damage onto Yoppa, but Yoppa is able to flash away from the first Q. Moxox also sidesteps a whole bunch of damage originally. And yeah, it just feels horrible to lose out on that play. Herald dropped in the mid lane. It's kind of what we expected from Lightside. Definitely a nice, you know, response, but right now they are sitting 4,000 gold in the hole. And Nativz just picked up a whole bunch more gold that they were already ahead of in the first place.
8 kills to 1, and the one we were expecting to be the split pusher to get the lead again, as you said, Lundqvist is the one just playing slowly, saying, okay guys, I'm fine, you do you. Sometimes, well, it's like in solo queue, sometimes you get carried, sometimes you just need to play your game as safe as you can until you get to your window of opportunity that it should be with 1-2 items for Lundqvist. And until then, you just have to let your team do what they're supposed to. Because the plan was, if we get a lead to Nativz, oh, we're so good. We're so fine. Fiora, you can play more safely. You don't need to force anything. they'll have to reply with a jungle on a bot side, so Bambi will not be able to go to the top side. So use that to your own advantage, and there you go. Perfect plan is online for Nativz.
Indeed it is. Another gank comes in towards the bottom side, but it doesn't really seem like it's going to fully stick those. Venate is going to find Clocks. Clocks
Doesn't
still
have
alive.
the flash available, so eventually you will go down. The ultimate from Zen will be able to just gather everyone in 2 kills. Not the shutdown that he wanted, because the 500 goal shutdown is on Ezreal, but it's a kill.
Yeah, at least they find something, right? That's the important thing. They're going to be able to turn it into a dragon, potentially, but it looks like Snille is actually the one on it. For now, I think. Can we get a pan down towards the dragon? Is he... Okay, they just started up now. Ultimate was blown from Svene, but no clocks available for another 10 seconds or so. And I mean, it just seems like Lightside just not thinking about the objectives there. And they give it up to Nativz for free, for nothing. Even though they had the numbers advantage, all they really blew was the Svene ultimate. Yes, of course, Moxox's ultimate in its own right, very important, but still, definitely a bit concerning. Nativz maybe just so far ahead that they felt like there was no real chance at going for this fight. And now, what she was talking about, perfect game plan, getting ahead, Lundqvist kind of just having to set up there. Lundqvist is on perfect CS nearly. Like, he is maybe 10 CS short or so. I can't remember the exact numbers for like 16 minutes into the game, but he is 10 CS per minute right now. And he is in a matchup which just isn't going to get better for for NBZ. There's no way to say it. He just finished up the collar as well, as we saw on the screen, 350 gold in his back pocket. And the scaling is just going to continue to fall into the Fiora's favor on the side lane. So Lightside have to just try and continue to force plays. Yoppa has cleanse, but it looks like the answer is going on the clock.
Says flash available. Doesn't get the trigger on that one. Arcane Shift kind of did him dirty because the bandage toss connected with him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was expecting that one. So they're trying to get some kills and they're getting that on the support. Eventually his gold will not be relevant for them.
Yeah, so this is the thing, right? Lightside, they're picking up kills, but what are they getting after that, right? It's not like this is buying them time per se. Yoppa's not being denied waves. He's actually just farming up his own Gromp right now because he knows if he shows face in lane again, maybe he gets jumped on. So he's doing okay. And on the top side, and it was like, well, they just committed 3 members to the bottom side of the map. I guess we'll take Herald. And this neutral objective is going to do them wonders in comparison to what a couple of kills onto a support who isn't really roaming on the map or, trying to shut down anything in the first place or, prop up some plays towards teasers or towards Lundqvist. Lightside, it's all well and good finding these picks, but not finding anything else. And Lundqvist continues to bully out in this lane, actually finds a stun.
The grand challenge was there and the vital was not procced. The guard drinker got the wrong one for him, and that is going to leave BZ alive. Ignite is still available alongside with TP. He has to go back. He knows something is fishy. If Lundqvist is pushing like this, someone must be around.
Yeah, and we'll be able to step back up to the wave eventually. You can see Bambi is on his way here. Lundqvist has no mana. Great ever for us to slow down Bambi, but Svene isn't going to be able to find an angle. So just kind of disengaged there. But Lightside, again, kind of just losing out on the pressure side of things. Lundqvist slowly but surely getting control of this matchup. And again, I just have to pose the question. Who's going to answer Fiora in like 10 minutes time?
Well,
okay.
it's not going to be Moxox.
No, it's not.
I can give you that one for free, okay?
Yoppa doesn't even have Mirror Mana finished up, and now they're actually looking for it to...
Oh, no! No! Divert your eyes, children! Don't look into this!
Hide your kids. Get them away from the screen. Sorry for what we just had to see there. That was rough. We'll get a look at how Yoppa found this 1v1.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
As Yoppa doesn't even have the Mirror Mana stacked up, but he goes in, kind of arcing just forward. The ultimate connects, everything just lands, and he's able to step away from so much damage too from Moxox. It's a very close one. Oh, flash on the last Q. Very good stuff. I can hear a herald in the background of the replay. Nativz again, just winning out everywhere, and not only that, just mechanically they've been outplaying Lightside. It just feels like any avenue they can at the moment. And as we take a look towards the inventories, the items, the gold lead starting to show a little bit. 2 items in for Yoppa. The next item almost available for Relay. Snille approaching his 2-item marks. He's been sat on that Everfrost for a little while now. Even Lundqvist getting close. Has to be to that Ravenous Hydra. Don't forget, also has the Cull to sell for additional gold. So Nativz sitting pretty come this third dragon spawn, and they're just going to have control of the river, it feels like. They're going to have priority just about everywhere. Maybe if they can force numbers towards the mid lane, light side, they can have something to do. Moxox just gets absolutely one shot.
Jamal, if they get this
Oh,
dragon,
boy.
this is going to be an infernal soul point for them. An infernal soul for a poke team is one of the most obnoxious things that exists in League, aside from the X-Tech as well.
Yep.
Is there a window that Lightside can recover if the soul is secured?
Nope.
I'm not talking about right now,
so.
if the soul.
The only way I can see Lightside winning this game is of like week 1, game 1 proportions. Like Nativz overstep, Svene finds like a bandage toss, flash, 5-man ultimate, and then everybody just blows up and dies. Like that's that's it. Like that's at the moment it does feel really rough. I think Nativz just have a really good composition with dealing with a lot of the engage that Lightside do have. Again, a lot is on the shoulders of Svene to try and facilitate a strong-looking team fight for Lightside. Right now, he's been chunked out. He's half HP, and Nativz are on the dragon first. They're in the river. They're a little bit split, though, so maybe Lightside can use this to their advantage.
Dragon is being chunked down. Not a lot of replies so far. Amumu has his ultimate available. The Curse of the Sad Mummy can go there, but the dragon is already at 2000 HP. It seems like only Bambi is trying to get on that dragon pit.
Oh,
3000
boy.
HP as he heals back, pushing the volleyball, playing around with him. What could you're helping them, Moxox?
Well, there goes third dragon. Objective bounties are going to spawn onto the map now. Again, all the while, you know, it just has to be said, Lightside aren't able to win anything. And this is kind of my problem, man. I would love to say that there is some kind of optimism or hope here, but I just feel like disengage, super strong. We're just waiting for Nativz to potentially make a mistake, which they are certainly prone to doing in game states like this. So we'll keep ourselves perked up and waiting potentially for a window to open up for Lightside. But until then, I think we are just waiting until we see a situation for Lightside to actually have a window to try and punish some kind of poor rotation.
This is the game where they have to pull the trigger all at the same time. We have the Glacial Prison, Bambi can follow, Chaotic Storm, and obviously Sven with the ultimate from Amumu. That is more than enough to get a decent engage. Someone can pull it, but they need to be on the same page. And it seems like they're losing themselves as the Grand Challenge has been lifted and BZ now getting sustained onto Lundqvist. And this is not a duel that can be won in this part of the map.
All right, so Lightside lost the entire bottom side and technically mid side of the map, and now Lundqvist is online. So again, the question, you know, is begged to be asked. What is the option here? We just have to sit, wait, and if Nativz overstep, Lightside have to just punish it. And punish it, not just like, you know, punish it and, you know, get a little bit. They have to get a fair amount as well. It has to be a super efficient punish. Can't lose too much. They're going to try and maybe get this mid lane tower. And I think they just about will be able to. A lot of gold for the team. Don't forget objective bounties there. But again, things just feel super rough. And what you expect to see is Nativz just wait 3 minutes for this next Infernal Dragon to spawn up and they just play for soul.
It's the flip. We've seen the flip multiple times, Lundqvist. As the Banshees takes it away. The Vital is procced as well.
Oh man. I feel like I understand Teases having Banshees, right, for the stats, but also it feels a little bit criminal. Because it kind of just gets procced super easy, right? You more want to see Banshees into like those one form of engage comps, like you know, the Leona, just Nautilus, so you kind of protect yourself from those ultimates, but it kind of feels like Ezreal and Xerath will just take it. Like, take the shield off eventually. It is definitely going to be very nice into the Xerath because, you know, getting hit by a Q, especially in the later stages of the game, you will lose a big chunk of your health bar. But it's not really stopping the play pattern that much. You know, I guess we'll just have to see the efficiency that we get out of it.
Is the only one that cannot get the proc easily.
Yeah, like, there's the thing, like, yeah, Fiora is the only one that can't really proc it super easily. And that's kind of where my my worry is.
Yeah. And if Fiora is able to proc it, you're dead.
Yeah, if Fiora procs it, I have bad news for you. You might have overstepped. So yeah,
it's a tough fight.
It's definitely a very, you know, niche item. I always say if you're not in a situation like Kai kind of said, where you're against something like just a Nautilus or just a Leona or something like just a Sedge, right, as an engage tool, just sit on the the Verdant Barrier for the magic resist, or just go Merc Treads and just have a little bit of baseline MR, because it's better than not having MR. Obviously, it feels a little bit bad diverting away from completing an item, but do you know what else feels bad? Getting one shot by a Xerath combo. So we'll see what gets done there. We won't talk about it too much more. Nativz, a little over a minute until they can pick up a soul. For now, Lightside do have control of this side of the map. Yoppa gonna reset, try to catch him out as he rotates over, but he just picked up the Sereldas. Lundqvist is so damn strong. He's almost got a Hull Breaker. That's what he's working towards, I believe. Don't expect to see that turn into a Steraks Gauge in 2022.
We don't talk about that item.
No, not anymore.
I tried it. I really tried it, but no.
It's okay at best on a very select few champions, but even then, you give up Hex Drink for it. And more, okay, engage, relay.
The pawn is really has the flash available and instantly procs it, but Amumu is not in the position where he can be the engager. He cannot get that massive AoE. They lost one. It's the BZ one. But they're going to lose the entire inhibitor if they don't fall back. 20 seconds until the dragon. And if Nativz find themselves in a good position to poke the enemy right now, this is going to be the Soldier Mana.
Yep, it will be. And Lightside Moxox gonna find a slow onto Yoppa in the mid lane. Look, towards Nile. Definitely caught out. Has flash.
They want to disengage. This could be the jungler going down. The flash is being popped. Yoppa is on melee range. He thinks he's a Fiora, but he's Nesco, and he dies for this sin. And where is Fiora? She's split pushing it this time, allowing Moxox to be the one just splitting with a double kill. This is so good for them. And you talked about this. First week, they went over in the Broads, and this could be yet again the mistakes from the first one. Triple kill. Finally gets the shutdown, and now BZ is running away as the teleport is being casted by Tis to join this mess where Zeri was able to get triple kill out of nowhere.
Sloppy from Nativz. I don't think they're going to lose out on the dragon. Lundqvist might have just thrown a lot away there. Oh no.
You can only block one. Really is there. Sustain is available, but you know you're going to miss this dragon window.
Wow, massive throwaway from Nativz. Now they're not going to have soul for the next 5 minutes. Lightside going to be rubbing their hands together because they know by rights they shouldn't have really been able to have had any kind of angle into this. Hullbreaker is there for Lundqvist, so he's a lot tankier whilst he's by himself for now. I'm going to look to try and pick on some of these members. That Ulma hit all three and it slowed them down.
Lundqvist is there. Sven is on the backline, trying to buy as much time as he can. Lundqvist doesn't care if it's on the challenged one or not. He wants to get the kills nonetheless. And out of nowhere, 2 members die. Baron is available. And if you get the poke with the minions helping you, I don't know if this is going to end well for the light side.
Yeah, and this is the thing. All right, sure, you lose out on the soul, but losing out 2 members just to potentially also lose the... lose the Baron off the back of that. Sorry, just laughing at the demolish damage of the Hullbreaker. It's gonna just feel terrible, and it's like that's exactly what's gonna happen here. Lightside do not have the frontline engaged members up and available to try and make some kind of mess in the pit. And Nativz, all right, very sloppy in the mid lane to give over those kills, but they pick up the Baron. Big Purple Worm, definitely the slightly more powerful of the buffs in this particular instance. And it's just going to give them a bridge to lay over towards that dragon when it respawns up. And then they can look to pick up the soul. So we'll see what Nativz can get done with this Baron, because now Lundqvist on the side lane with a Hullbreaker and Baron buff. Who answers him? Because it's not NBZ. Teases can just about get through his health bar without, having to lose his flash. Even then, getting a lot of regen from all of the healing, and forgetting that also has the stats from Hullbreaker. Things are just going to go from bad to worse, it feels like. Now they're starting to set up siege in the mid lane.
28 minutes in, which means that the soul that we've been trying to get the entire game is going to be a few minutes away, as another engage is going to pop. Snilly goes golden. But now, can he get some sort of assistance? They try to poke in, and they put Bambi in the midst of the fight, as Yoppa is still there. Sis, that's by time. Look at the bottom line. It's Fiora, split pushing. Lundqvist doing his business.
Yep, and this is the thing. When everybody from Lightside goes to answer this on the bottom lane, look at the mid lane. They'll lose the tier 2. I mean, yeah, definitely expected. And I mean, look how much damage he's dealing to Teases.
There's the Banshees.
The Banshees is gone. He could... honestly, I'm not sure if Teases has a Zhonya's or a stopwatch, but could look for an Aura dive. Like, look how desperate Teases is to clear away this wave using the ultimate and the
And
gravity
it's
field.
not enough.
And it's just not enough. There's 2 whole break it up Baron buff cannon minions. We'll be able to clear out 1. And the second one is just going to whack away. And in the mid lane, poke and more damage goes down towards that tier 1, or tier 3 rather. Now the base almost gets opened in the mid lane as well. Baron buff, maybe not as successful as Nativz would have wanted it to be. Snillate. Actually, I looked away for half a second where whilst they were shoving in the mid lane, and then I saw him in the middle of all 3 people. So I'm not quite sure how he ended up there, admittedly, but his death does delay a lot of tempo for Nativz, and definitely Lightside going to be fairly happy with working with a little more time. And again, it just feels like the game is fully in Nativ's hands, right? If they make mistakes and give Lightside the window in, Lightside have done a fairly good job of keeping this game alive and running.
And
but
teleport will be available for the fight as well.
Yeah, the teleport is now going to be available. He's got Death Stance on top of it all. Like, how do you kill this Fiora? It just... Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy.
The hope is growing dim, I would say, for Lightside. The first place team, only 1 defeat versus Garp. It was one of those unexpected games. This one, I would say it's unexpected as well, because it seems like Nativz don't want to play this one. They just want to deal damage, but they don't want to receive. That is a hard relationship, man. You have to share the burdens. It's only on one side, I would say.
So, are you okay, Archer?
I'm actually okay, yeah.
Do we?
What?
I feel like that came from a...
I'm alone in Berlin and you're doing me like that?
I feel like that came from a deep place, man. You know,
okay.
As long as you're okay. It's hey, man. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully. All right, and we could have some kebabs late at night and sit down and talk about life.
I missed that. Nah. I don't care about that. I just want the kebabs.
Moxox is in danger.
Oh my God. Moxox again on the melee range with the Ezra. Ooh, have a party. Have a drink. As Clocks is going to take another one. Bambi goes away. Sven text team goes in, but now he's thinking, oh no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Get me out. And he's out right now. 10 seconds until the Infernal. And then they look into the base, and there's no more base. There's nothing. Only ashes from the past. It really is helping on this one. Split push from the other side of downtown. Busy getting lower by the second. He's running away. He's like, I have a Banshees. What is happening? The turret is going to get demolished. The second one as well. 20-7. And the first place team is not looking so hot versus Nativz with this sort of composition. In the Super Week, Nativz starts with a banger.
Yes, they do. They take down Lightside, only dropped 1 game. And let's be real as well, Nativz in their original matchup in week 1 probably should have beat them as well. And it looked pretty close in terms of how convincing it was back then, up until they lost. So Nativz, with the rerun, finished the game that they should have finished 4 weeks ago. And yeah, it just felt like compositionally, there wasn't a lot for Nativz to work with here. Nativz, they had the Fiora on the side lane that would always outscale everybody in this game. There was no answer, realistically. And on the rest of the map, loads of, disengage, loads of shielding, loads of poke, and, the limited engage options that Lightside had just weren't enough. And again, I just feel like this is a really clever draft, right? I think they opened out with the Gragas and the Ezreal. They then went towards the Karma. And then beyond that, they rounded things up with an Ornn and a Nautilus ban. And I think those 2 bans really shut down a lot of the answers in terms of finding long-range engages that Lightside desperately needed here. And they did, in all fairness, try and adapt. They brought out the Sejuani, they brought out the Amumu, 2 picks that we see, quite commonly over in the LPL. We've seen the Sejuani prop up every now and again as well in the LEC. Wasn't able to make it work this time around, just simply because it felt like they couldn't get a lead on the bottom side, and then, Nativ's side lane split push win condition just wasn't shut down either, and it was just a really well played game from Nativz. I just feel like there wasn't really much to do from the get-go from Lightside if they couldn't snowball a lead, and they just weren't really able to get anything done, especially because of that early invade.
I would say an evil plan came to mind, and it bears fruits, and I want to talk with them to understand who had this idea, how they executed it as well, and was there any counterpart in Champions League? Because I don't see one. So we'll toss it to a break, and I'll see you soon for the interviews.